Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we'll be discussing YouTube's 2021 priorities, Twitter using mobs to fact-check, Gamestop's Stonks going brrrr or whatever the meme is, and a whole lot more, so go ahead and stick around, fellow kids. Here we go. This is going to be a fun one. YouTube put out a blog post, and Susan Wojcicki put out an amazingly enthralling video discussing YouTube's 2021 priorities. There is so much in here. I am not going to read you the entire thing. I am not going to dissect every sentence in it. Otherwise, we would be here for 10 hours. I am going to give you a cliff notes of what this was. And my brain is absolute mush after reading this a couple of times because it is corporate nonsensical jargon, whatever speak. Hey, we're a good company, love us, that kind of talk. My brain is mush. Let's talk about it. First thing they point out is during the first quarter of 2020, they saw a 25% increase in watch time. 100 billion hours of gaming content was watched in 2020 on YouTube, and there was a 45% increase in live streams during the first half of the year. To summarize this introduction to the priorities of 2021, let me go ahead and give you a concise summation of this. COVID, good for YouTube. Pandemic, good for YouTube. People being locked down, good for YouTube. That's what I got out of the introduction. Really good start, YouTube. Really good start. Brag about how good COVID was for you. Really off to a wonderful beginning. Then the first actual priority is growing the creator economy. They talk about how much money was made on YouTube and how many people made it into the YouTube Partner Program. The first item here is policy transparency. That is, dumb creators don't understand policy. We need to make them understand policy better. Make it easier for dumb camera and microphone jockeys because they big dum-dums. That's what they're going to do. Good. The creators need to understand the policy, the regulations, the rules surrounding monetization on the platform so they ensure that they don't break it, because then people lose their jobs. People losing their jobs is a bad thing. What a hot take. What a hot take, right? People losing jobs is bad. The second thing is additional sources of revenue. They are going to push existing monetization strategies like super chats and memberships. I was expecting to see a lot more in terms of new potential revenue streams, new potential integrations. There wasn't anything here. There is something a little bit later that I'll discuss, but in this topic, in this header, they didn't really have much. They just said they're going to be pushing more super chats, super stickers, that kind of stuff, and said, look at how many people made so much money, and memberships. Look at how many people make so much money. That's what they did here. Third, supporting the success of all creators. This is where it gets interesting. They're going to request gender, orientation, race, and ethnicity information of the creators so that they can adjust and manipulate search and discovery to ensure equal treatment. I'm sure this can't be misused at all. I love that a almost $1 trillion corporation, is Alphabet $1 trillion? A massive multinational corporation is saying, give us your race, give us your sex, give us your sexual orientation, and then we'll manipulate stuff to determine who gets. Yeah, I'm sure that won't be abused at all. Really good idea. Yikes. Next, living up to our responsibilities. How I interpreted this, blah, blah, blah. We're doing the most important work in limiting stuff about the U.S. election and COVID-19, blah, blah, blah. We banned 500,000 videos and channels since February because of our policies on COVID, blah, 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 blah. Header 1 here is vaccination. They banned people and content that contradicts the consensus of the CDC and 2. Then under the header health, they are going to partner with the American Public Health Association, Cleveland Clinic, and Mayo Clinic to make more health information available on YouTube. And lastly is racial justice. New filter to not even show creator comments with inappropriate words, having a Black Voices Fund, and YouTube Originals for Black History Month, and interviews with the BLM co-founder Alicia Garza. Cool. I think Alicia Garza was the person who said they were trained Marxists. I'm sure that will be wonderful. Next header, Helping people learn new skills. They brag about the number of people who use YouTube to learn new skills. Susan Wojcicki, to sound very relatable, was talking about how she learned to do more yoga and how to fix her refrigerator on YouTube. I'm being a little bit of a dick. Absolutely, that is probably, in my opinion, the best use for YouTube, learning stuff. People are more than willing to share information for free, and there is a tutorial and a walkthrough on pretty much everything on the entire world, in the entire world. So I may sound like a dick. I actually think that is the best use of YouTube. Then they talk about how they're supporting creators who enable economic opportunities by teaching skills of the 21st century, like coding. Hang on, Susan? Susan? Pump the brakes there. Pump the brakes. I'm going to object here. Many folks may already know why I'm objecting. It's only a small leap and a jump from teaching people skills of the 21st century like coding to saying, say it with me, learn to code. Susan, you're getting a bit spicy in your 2021 priorities, aren't you there? Saying learn to code. And I came up with a great opportunity for YouTube. Instead of this, we're going to teach people 21st century skills like coding. Perhaps you could put out videos on how to build solar panels. And I think an even more efficient or effective way to frame this would be, if you are a pipe fitter that was put out of work, here is how you use your skills as a pipe fitter to build solar panels, because that's what you were told to do. If you were building pipes, now just, you may be out of job and not be able to feed your family, but just go ahead and build solar panels because that's readily available right now. I think that may be a really good opportunity for YouTube. A captive audience of thousands of people who are desperate, out of work, no work to be had, being told to learn how to build solar panels. A lot of them probably don't even know what materials go into solar panels. So I think it may be beneficial for YouTube to roll out that training program. Just a thought. Think about it, YouTube. I think it could be really good for you. Next header was building the YouTube of the future. Mobile creation is header 1, investing in mobile-based video editing tools and expanding YouTube Shorts. I think all of those are good, especially with the growing number of people in other countries, poorer countries, I hope that doesn't come across as rude or demeaning. There are poorer countries who don't have as many desktop computers, and a lot of folks in those countries use mobile devices. I think it's great that YouTube is providing them tools to make videos and content and share their stories as well. I think that's great. I legitimately do think that's cool. Second is commerce, and they say integrating shopping with YouTube, because people watch videos on YouTube to determine if they're going to buy something. At the first time that I read this, I thought, oh, very cool. I think this is going to be great. And then I thought 5 seconds longer and said, oh, I get it. I get it now. YouTube doesn't like that you all have affiliate links in your description and they ain't getting a cut of it. They don't like that none too much. They are none too pleased about that. So how about you integrate your shopping app, your technology, your telephone seller YouTube channels with some shopping apps? Why don't you do that so you don't use those affiliate links and we get a cut of it now? I think that's exactly what it is. YouTube doesn't like that there are affiliate links that they don't get a cut of. They want to integrate third-party shopping apps, whether it be Amazon, I don't know what other shopping apps they would use. Amazon probably will be one of the first if they can work out a deal, because Google wants that revenue. And we may even see them say, you can't have affiliate. That's my projection. Within 2 to 3 years, we'll see YouTube say you cannot have affiliate links in the description. It will all have to be funneled through our integrated shopping apps. That's my guess. That's my forecast. Put it down in a book and then in 3 years tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead and do it. And lastly here, they say living room. They are improving the YouTube app for TV. Excellent. I love watching YouTube on my TV. Really a fun experience, and I like watching all the all those YouTubers that I normally see on a 3-inch screen on a massive, like 35 at 40-inch TV. I'm not one of those fancy people who has like a 90-inch TV. I got a tiny little 40-inch TV that I've had for 6-7 years. Yeah, I don't keep up with the tech anymore. I don't care anymore. I'm trying to be a little bit more responsible with all of my purchases, other than microphones and watches, other than those two things. And the last header here is the regulatory landscape. YouTube is going to be partnering with governments on critical issues, and they say they are doing a good job fighting coordinated influence operations. My commentary is, if they want to. If they want to. They are not doing a good job fighting all coordinated influence operations, but only the ones that they don't like and that they want to stop. That's my take on it. Also, they're getting hammered because of Article 13, which is now known as Article 17. That's the EU copyright bill that caused a lot of hullabaloo a couple of years ago. They're getting hammered with that now as it gets implemented. Then they say there's no consensus on Section 230 across political aisles, which I don't disagree with. And I do believe, in my opinion, that it does need to be reformed and there needs to be some modifications made to Section 230 on what is allowed, what is not allowed, what kind of good faith moderation is there or should there be. I think there does need to be some clarification there. I don't think we'll see any of it. And why do I say that? Because I think the people who are currently in power gained a large benefit. They gained a leg up because of the type of good faith moderation that was done over the last couple of years. If they gained a big benefit from it, why would they say, now that we've gained a benefit from it and we've seen how powerful this can be, let's stop it. Let's not use that anymore. Let's make it so we can never gain that benefit again. They are going to suckle at the teat of Google saying, please, sir, please, ma'am, may I have some more? They're going to be locked onto that thing. Give us more. And the last thing here is the EU has a new Digital Services Act, which will screw over online speech. Oh, what a shocker. Screwing over online speech. Whatever. Who cares? It's getting screwed over already. In summary, let me give you my rundown. They don't want the government to regulate them. Government regulating Google or YouTube is bad. They want to be able to ban stuff that experts deem false today and take no corrective actions if that consensus is reversed in the future, which is what we've seen over the last year. They do want to continue to integrate money making into their platform to make it easier for creators to earn money, but also for YouTube to earn money from your transactions as well. Aggregate everything and filter it through YouTube so YouTube can always take their cut, and then start adjusting search and discovery based on race. That's my summary of it, but let me be abundantly clear. This is all corporate speak and nonsense BS. Sure, there may be a couple of nuggets of truth in there, but I think a lot of it is just a form of marketing for them. The only reason they say they want to focus on specific things is because they want people to feel good. They want people to read this and say, ooh, they said what I like. Ah, yes, mommy and daddy YouTube, I will watch more. I will upload more. I'll create more for you. That's really all it is. That's what all companies do when they put out these press releases or letters to their employees. It's to get them on board. Oh, get them excited. And how do they do that? Saying what the employees like. And guess what, all creators? You are essentially employees of YouTube. They are manipulating you to get you excited to upload. Just understand the dynamic. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. Just understand it, and you'll be in a better position. And it's the same reason why I personally don't like supporting companies who shout out about politics and all that nonsense nonstop. It's not because I don't agree with what they're saying many of the times. It's because I think it's absolute BS. They don't actually mean anything they're saying, and it's just a marketing ploy. The number of times that I have seen a massive corporation post about some political or social movement, and then I read the replies and say, ooh, looks like somebody like me is getting a bunch of ice cream this weekend. That's exactly what they're doing it for. They're not doing it because they actually give a crap about it. They're saying it because they want you to feel good and say, ooh, I guess I'm buying some of that today. I guess I'm buying some of that this weekend. Yes, Mommy, Daddy, Ben, and Jerry's, give me icy cream. That's what they're doing. And I know I sound like a complete maniac right now. I am a maniac. That's the entire thing. I hate this corporate speak, but I'm sure there are some nuggets of truth there. But now, let's go someplace we haven't been in a long time. The corner of conspiracies. Good golly gee willikers, it is so gosh darn dusty in here. It's probably been half a year since we've been in here. And I'll tell you what, I am going to get sick. I ought to be wearing a dust mask in here. There's asbestos everywhere. I don't know who the foreman is of the Union of Conspiracy Corners, but it's real bad. Regardless, welcome back to the Conspiracy Corner. At the beginning of this 2021 priorities from YouTube, I read out all the benefits that YouTube was bragging about that were brought on by COVID and the lockdowns, the massive increase in watch time, the massive increase in creators, the growth and popularity of YouTube as a gaming platform, a bunch of benefits for YouTube that lead to increased revenue and increased market domination. That is what YouTube gained from the 2020 COVID lockdowns. Now, you're also aware that digital outlets are being responsible for dictating what kind of information is allowed to circulate. They will ban any kind of content, any kind of information that is contrary to the people they select as the arbiters of truth. YouTube is able to say, these are the authoritative sources that we believe. If you say anything against those authoritative sources, we will ban you, we will get rid of you. Regardless of whether or not those authoritative sources do a complete 180 and change what they're saying from month to month, there is no change there, and YouTube will continue to ban people who go against those authoritative sources. All companies, all these digital platforms have adopted that approach. Now, maybe I am old-fashioned, but my understanding was massive trillion or multi-billion dollar multinational corporations are evil, they're exploitative, they only do things for profit, which is theft. That was my understanding. That was the general consensus that I had heard. If that's to be believed, would it be that far-fetched or that much of a stretch to think, well, I guess they'll also promote information that ensures that they earn the most money possible, i.e., given the current situation, they will promote information that leads to more lockdowns and more fear and more people watching YouTube videos from home, more lockdowns, more people stuck inside, more people desperately trying to find out what information they need to know. What is going on in the Capitol? What is going on with the virus? What is going on with the election? I need to go to YouTube to find out. They are benefiting from all of this. Let me end the conspiracy corner by asking a question. Do you think it would be far-fetched to think that massive corporations would manipulate the information that is being published on their platform to ensure that their inflated usage numbers, their growing revenue continues to grow and continues to remain inflated? Or do you think these massive corporations would willingly give up that added revenue, that increased money, the growing money that they are earning? Do you think they would readily give that up and say, well, that was fun while it lasted, let's go back to earning less money and losing money in many cases? I don't think they would. I think they would very likely manipulate information to ensure that they get as much money as they can. That's my conspiracy corner. I'm totally gonna get banned. It was fun while it lasted, boys and girls. All right, let's get out of the conspiracy corner. This place sucks. Thank goodness we are out of the conspiracy corner because that place is going to ruin me. Let's jump to Twitter Birdwatch. This is a fun one. It just gets crazier. It gets crazier and crazier. I'll tell you what. All right, what is Twitter Birdwatch? Twitter decided that the community on Twitter will be able to add notes to tweets and provide context and tell folks when a tweet is wrong and why it's wrong. How did they come to this? conclusion or this decision to give the mob the ability to fact-check tweets, they interviewed 100 people, and those folks said, yeah, the community would do a much better job at moderating and fact-checking than Twitter by itself would. And to be fair, I don't disagree with that. I think Twitter is terrible with fact-checking, and the community might do a better job. But just because it's better than a bad idea doesn't automatically make it a good idea. Eating bat crap is a bad idea, but guess what? So is eating human crap. Both of those are bad idea, maybe differing levels. Some people may even enjoy eating bat crap. Isn't that what Ace Ventura Pet Detective 2 was all about? Guano? He was eating bat crap? So maybe that's better than actually eating human poop. I don't know. Both of those sound like terrible ideas to me. That's the point. Just because one idea is less bad doesn't automatically make it a good idea. So just because the community can do a better job at fact-checking and moderating than Twitter doesn't mean I'm going to trust them anymore. Now, to give Twitter a little bit of credit here, they do want to be transparent, meaning all the contributions to Birdwatch will be publicly available and downloadable. And they will also publish the code for the algorithm that is being used to surface specific content. I guess that's a good thing as well. It could be audited. People could look through it and see exactly what is being done with this. I think both of those are excellent things for Twitter to do to try to build up some trust with the community. With that being said, I'm sure you all already know I'm going to crap all over this because this is going to be abused. It is going to be manipulated. What a shocker. Give people the ability to fact check and manipulate the content and the ideas they don't like. They are going to do it. The one thing that gives me a bunch of joy is knowing that every single contribution of somebody trying to manipulate a tweet is going to be archived and publicly available and downloadable. I love that. I love that. If you're trying to mislead people, well, now there's going to be a record of it. And you have to have, guess what? To join Birdwatch, I believe you have to have a verified phone number. They're going to have your phone number. Pretty good stuff there, isn't it? Pretty good stuff there. I guess it may actually limit the abuse of it. Because if you have to have all of these criteria, you have to have a verified email, a verified phone number, there's a bunch of different criteria. If they have all that information, are you going to be willing to lie and then have those lies publicly downloadable and tied directly to you? I don't know. I do think that Twitter is trying to do something good, mainly that they're trying something different than just moderating themselves. I think that is a good step. I just don't think this is it. I legitimately think that as more demands are made of Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, where every single political party is requesting something from them, where every single country is requesting something from them, the more and more I realize that this type of platform, this global platform for everybody, seems unsustainable. It's barely sustainable in one country with two fairly similar political parties. They can barely agree on what ought to be done. How are we going to get to a point where these platforms exist for the two political parties in the US, but then they also exist for Iran? I think those beliefs are significantly different from the US to Iran. I don't know. My solution is, instead of us all focusing on fixing these massive systems that have huge flaws and are inherently broken, perhaps we should focus on something that every single one of us has the ability, the power, and the authority to do. What is that, Bandrew? What is that thing that we can all do? Oh, please tell us, Bandrew. Okay, I'll tell you. Thank you so much for showing so much interest in my thoughts. That idea is stop putting so much weight and importance on everything we see on these websites. Stop caring about tweets. Who cares? It's a tweet. Stop caring about YouTube comments. Oh, who cares? It's a YouTube comment. Stop caring about Facebook arguments. Who cares? It's an argument on Facebook? Why are we letting these massive corporations dictate how we feel? They are dictating how we live our lives, how we exist, the level of anxiety, the level of fear. They are dictating our entire lives because we are allowing them to, because we are giving them that authority. So the crazy idea is, stop giving them that power over us. Who cares what happens on Twitter? Who cares what happens on YouTube or Facebook? Here's a secret. It doesn't matter. I will link the blog post or the tweet about Birdwatch if you want to read a little bit more of it. Now let's talk about something fun. Gamestop Stonks. Stonks go brrr. That's not how it goes. That's not the meme. That meme is about the money printer go brrr, because it does. Just print all the money, right? Print all the money. I'm not going to cover this topic in depth. I'm not going to go into a lengthy discussion about it because it has been covered to death. It has been covered by every news outlet, every commentator, every YouTube channel out there. But I will cover it a touch because I want to address a couple of questions and a couple of ideas surrounding this. First thing I need to do is provide you with a brief explanation of shorting. Shorting stocks means you are borrowing somebody's stock and agreeing to give it back to them at a later date. You can borrow somebody's stock, you could go sell it, you could borrow somebody's stock, you could hold it, and then you could give it back to them at that later date. Most of the time, people are shorting because they want to go out and sell it, and then see the stock price go down, buy the stock back at a lower price, and then give that share back to the person they were borrowing it from. That's how it works. Well, this entire GameStop fiasco is because hedge funds were shorting GameStop stock, but they shorted more shares than were available. I think they were over 120% of the available shares were shorted. And this is publicly available information. Some folks on Reddit noticed this. They noticed the huge overshorting of GameStop and said, let's buy. Let's buy some GameStop stock. Because as people realize, as people buy the stock, the price will go up. As the price goes up, these people who have shorted this stock will have to cover their positions, meaning they will be forced to buy the stock, which will drive the stock price up higher. And what will that do? Cause the price to increase even more. The other people who are shorting the stock will also be forced to buy the stock, causing a further increase in the stock price. This is called a short squeeze, and that is what was done. That is what led to this huge skyrocketing of the GameStop stonk. And what happened? The trading app said you can't buy the GameStop stonk anymore. You can sell it, but you can't buy it. You can't buy anymore because, oh no, it's hurting people. It's no good for the hedge funds. And to put it bluntly, I'm glad that the hedge funds got caught with their pants down. I'm glad they did. Because if you make stupid investment decisions like shorting over 100% of available stocks and you get caught, sometimes you gotta face the piper. You gotta pay the piper. I don't know the phrase. I'm mixing metaphors or anecdotes or whatever the hell they are. If you make a stupid investment, sometimes you're made to deal with it. Now, I want to address the question, is this market manipulation? In my opinion, no. The shorting positions are publicly available information. Folks on Reddit looked at that information, they saw it, they invested based on that information, and they shared that information with their buddies. That is not market manipulation. They are not lying about the value. They are saying, look at what I found. Here's what I think would be a good idea. Also, not financial advice. Doesn't sound like market manipulation to me. It looks exactly like what all of these investment banks and hedge funds do. They find investment opportunities, arbitrage opportunities, and they capitalize on that. And sometimes they'll share it with their buddies, which is exactly what these Redditors did. Next, I want to address, did people really stick it to the hedge funds? Kind of. Yes, undeniably, some hedge funds got hammered. They got hit really hard with this. But it would be absolutely moronic to think that other hedge funds did not make an absolute killing on what was being done to this stock. At the massive increase in GameStop stonk, it would be moronic to assume that Other hedge funds did not see this coming and say, let's get in on that. Let's get us some money. Let's get us some money. So yes, some hedge funds got hurt. Others made a bunch of money. So yeah, you kind of stuck it to them, kind of. But you also made some other hedge funds a boatload of money. They're getting some big old bonuses next year. And then I want to address, but we have a free market, right? We have a free market, right? No, we don't. No, we don't. We do not have a free market. I don't think anybody has ever truly believed that we have a completely free market. This is not anarcho-capitalism. It's not an ANCAP society. It's not a complete free market. That would be ridiculous. That would be hell. That would be anarchy, hence anarcho-capitalism. The final nail in the idea of having somewhat of an unregulated or free market, that nail was put in the coffin in 2008 when all the investment banks were bailed out after making terrible investment decisions, terrible gambling decisions, I should say, not even investments. I want to very briefly explain to you what led to the financial crash in 2008, because it will drive you insane. It will make you realize how insane this idea was, and the idea that nobody saw this coming, except for a handful of people, is crazy. Let's start at the bottom and then we'll work up to the top like we're Drake. It starts at the local banks. If you're somebody who wants to buy a home, you have to go get a mortgage, take out that loan, and buy the home. In order to get that mortgage, you have to provide documentation proving that you are reliable and that you are likely to pay that back. Those requirements were lowered, meaning people did not have to prove that they had viable income sources so that they could pay their loan back. Those requirements were lowered. This means more people who were less likely to pay back the loan were able to get massive mortgages. There are also loans called ARMs, which are adjustable rate mortgages. A lot of these were fixed for 5 years, a fixed interest rate for 5 years. After that, the interest rate will adjust to the market. After 5 years, the interest rate goes up. Now, you're no longer able to pay for that mortgage. That leads to defaults, an increase in defaults. So you start to see an issue here. People aren't being required to provide documentation proving that they have a stable income source to pay back this loan, and you have banks who are lending with adjustable rate mortgages. Consumers don't realize what an ARM is, and then they get into this issue where consumers don't pay the loan back. You may be thinking, well, why the hell would a local bank be willing to give a loan to somebody who's not going to pay him back? That seems like terrible business practice. Yeah, you would think so. Here's where it starts to get a little bit shady, because those banks would turn around and immediately sell it off to an investment bank. An investment bank is pooling these subprime mortgages from all over the country. And what would they do? They would pool them together and then break them into little categories, saying, these are good loans, these are less good loans, and these are terrible loans. These good loans, they ranked them, or they rated them AAA, meaning they are investment grade, meaning a lot of pensions and retirement accounts were able to invest in them. Now, you may be thinking, how the hell did they turn a bunch of subprime crappy mortgages into investment grade, top tier, the safest investments in the world? They did this by time. They said, well, in the first 5 years, they're less than likely to default on the loan, so these AAA investments will mature in 5 years. The lower grade will mature in 10 years, and then 25 years. 25 years, you're likely not going to get paid back, so we'll pay you a significantly higher interest rate. So to summarize, it is very similar to somebody grabbing 10 pounds of human crap. I know I'm talking about crap a lot. 10 pounds of human crap, bundling it all together, throwing it in an oven, pulling it out and saying, hey, look, it's a really delicious pizza. Eat some. In my opinion, that's what it was. That's exactly what it sounds like to me, taking a bunch of crap and saying, look, it's not crap anymore. They thought they had the Midas touch, turning crap into gold. They didn't. They took crap and labeled it gold, but as soon as you scratched a little bit, you said, it starts to smell like shit, doesn't it? Kind of smells like shit. Yeah. So These investment banks screwed everyone by doing that. I hope that was interesting. I hope that was some kind of a proper explanation that was easy to follow. And what happened? They led to the crash of the economy. They should be made to pay. They should be held responsible for those terrible investments, correct? No, they're too big to fail. The government bailed them out. The government gave them our dollars, our money, our tax dollars. They put us into debt to pay back these investment bankers who made terrible, terrible gambling decisions, which is exactly what they did. So no, a free market we do not have. And to conclude, if what these people on Reddit were doing were illegal, I would not support it. From what I have seen, it seems to be completely above board and legal, and it's publicly available information, and it's hilarious seeing these hedge fund folks sweat because they made us sweat back in 2008, 2009. It's a little bit of revenge. That's funny to me. It's funny to me. I'll try to clean up this phrase because it's amazing to me. It's amazing the idea that this Wall Street Bets Reddit has. We can remain low IQ longer than you can remain solvent. I love that. Because they know their actions and their behaviors and their investments are not rational. They know they are not rational, but do you know what? These investment banks, these hedge funds, made the terrible assumption that markets would behave rationally. Little did they know, Reddit, they don't be rational. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Hopefully that was fun for you. There you go. That's my take on it. Free market we do not have. Hilarious. Absolutely. We can remain low IQ longer than you can remain solvent. Now let us jump to what you had to say. And the first comment comes from Gut Punch News. He says, MD is equal to making Deutschmarks. Bruh, I love it. Get paid. F people. How does that saying go? I don't think I can say that phrase anymore. I don't think I can say that line anymore. FBs make money. Making Deutschmarks. FBs make Deutschmarks. I love it, Gut Punch News. Thank you very much. Dig it. Make them Deutschmarks. All right. Next comment comes from Cujo. He says, in regards to email 5, I switched to a shotgun microphone, T-Bone EM9600, mounted above my monitor and remove 100% of my background noise using RTX voice set to 75 to 80%. It works so well that my dog was barking in the same room as me and nobody on my Zoom heard her. Joe, thank you very much for the comment and the suggestion. That is a great suggestion. And if this user from last week does have RTX voice, I think that would be a great solution. They get the microphone out of frame, they get it farther away from them, and they don't have to worry about the increase in background noise to voice. The signal to noise ratio is what I'm trying to say. Great suggestion. I appreciate you so damn much. And the last comment comes from Art Carrasco. He says, hey, your thoughts on Behringer? Tom Buck shares your opinion. I'd say if Behringer can deliver similar quality for a lower price, shouldn't the companies they imitate find a way to lower their prices? Rather than hate on Behringer, ask Shure why they can't lower their price. Rather than hate on Behringer, ask Shure why they can't lower their cost. I do agree about the naming schemes, though. No need to rub salt in the wound, if that even applies. Hashtag capitalism, lol. Art, thank you very much for the comment. Hashtag capitalism. I agree, capitalism be super tight. And then I will push back on you. I think a lot of the difference in price comes down to two aspects. Of course, this is all pure speculation. I am not asserting that any companies do anything that is illegal, that is harmful, anything. I am not making any assertions. I think that covers my butt legally. The first reason I think Behringer is able to sell their products significantly lower than the competition that they are imitating is because they don't have the research and development costs. Research and development is extremely expensive. Think of all the iterations of a product you have to develop and all the employees you have to pay to develop that product, and in many cases it may go in the trash. There are many products I am sure that every single one of these audio companies has made that just never made it to market. that has gone in the garbage. That is a sunk cost to them. They need to make that up somehow, and they are making that up through the pricing of their products that made it to market. Behringer, when they are imitating a product, does not have that R&D cost. They do not have those failed iterations of products. They do not have failed products as a whole. They just look at what is doing well in the market and say, let's imitate that. Allegedly, or assuming. I think that's what it looks like to me. I'll put it that way. It looks to me like they're looking at the market and saying, hey, that looks pretty popular. Let's do that. Let's copy that one. Let's emulate that one. And then secondly, I have many concerns about the quality and the treatment of people working in a factory in China when an entire microphone developed, packaged, shipped to me, marketed, everything is then sold to me for $19. I have to question, how much are the people working in the factory being paid? How well is the factory kept up? Is it sanitary working conditions? Is it a good working condition? Do they have healthcare? Do they have any luxuries? Do they have any vacation? It really raises a lot of red flags in my brain. They're going ringy dingy 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 saying, what? How are you selling me this microphone for $19? Raises concerns for me. That's all I'm saying. That's how I would justify the difference in price between a couple of items. One, you don't got to pay the research and development. Two, doesn't seem like they pay their factory workers, or maybe everything's automated. If everything is automated, then I'll eat my words. Good on you, Behringer, for automating everything and putting people out of work. That's good that you are innovating and developing these processes that are making it so people don't have to spend their time in a factory. That's a benefit. That's a net positive. If that's the case, good on you, Behringer. Good on you. These other companies ought to catch up. I don't think that's the case, though. And that's really what I think it comes down to. When you start to look at items manufactured in other countries other than China, you do start to see a massive increase in price. Look at Neumann. Look at Biodynamic. Look at Earthworks. Look at AEA. Their microphones are made in America and Germany and Europe and England. And those prices are significantly more expensive because of that. So you need to take into account the labor that goes into it. I bought a watch that was made in America. Could I get a watch made in China that has similar, maybe even better specs for significantly cheaper? Yes. But do I know the person building the watch in America is being treated appropriately, that is being treated ethically? Yes, I know that much, especially compared to the labor in China. So I am willing to pay a little bit of a higher price, a premium, to have that a slightly clearer conscience, knowing that the items that I am utilizing, that I am giving money to, are being sourced slightly more ethically. I have less to worry about. That's how I'll put it. Art, thank you very much for the comment. I hope that answered the question. It is capitalism. People can buy the products made in China. And then people are also able to say, I don't want to contribute to that. I will pay for something that is made in a slightly better situation. And then if enough people say, I don't want to support that seemingly shady behavior, I'm going to go over here instead. Do you know what will happen? That company that is utilizing that shady behavior will go out of business. That's how capitalism works, but it doesn't seem like people are too concerned about what's going on over there. They're just thinking, thanks for the cheap products, guys. Thanks for the cheap products. Don't mind the slave labor. I don't care. Thanks for the cheap iPhone. It seems like that's the mentality. I get it. It's convenient. I'm going to stop talking there. Art, I appreciate you. Let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Alrighty, welcome back to the Ask Bandrew segment. If you have any questions, you can go to askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send in audio, video, and text based questions. I do prefer audio and video because I am a big stupid idiot person who is getting fatter by the day, and I suck at reading. And then I also get to hear how you sound on your microphones. We do have 3 voice submissions and 1 text submission today. First voice submission comes from Dave. Take it away, Dave.
Hi, Bandrew. My question is about dealing with sounds that are too loud, recordings that are too loud. So not just taking a small piece of a recording and making it softer, but actually dealing with maybe an overall recording. Maybe there's background noise, for example, and you just want to lower the recording to get rid of the background noise, or there are different situations when you might need things to be quieter. And there are different methods of doing that. You could use the built-in noise pad on your microphone. If your microphone has one, just reduce the input by a certain number of decibels. You could just turn the gain down on your audio interface and make everything quieter that way. Or you could do it all in post, right? You could just take the final recording, select the whole thing, and reduce the amplitude in Adobe Audition or Pro Tools or Audacity. Why might you want to choose one of these methods over another? Maybe one of these is always a bad idea. Maybe one of these is generally a good idea. Maybe there's some other option I haven't named here. Anyway, thank you very much. Looking forward to your response. Also, thank you. Thank you for the videos that you create. You are not just entertaining, and you are highly entertaining, but your content is also extremely practical and useful stuff. And you have built up enough of a body of work at this point. You have enough videos out there that it's like a reference work, like an encyclopedia. I know that 8 times out of 10, I can just search Bandrew Says or Podcastage, and I will find the review or the recording technique or the piece of advice that I'm looking for. And so it's not just a YouTube channel that I subscribe to and watch when new videos come out. It's an actual resource that I find myself going back to again and again. So I mean it very much when I say thank you.
Dave, thank you very much for the voice submission. Again, the question is, why decrease loudness using the pad on the microphone, decreasing the gain on the interface, or decreasing the level in post? Let's start with the pad on the microphone. The pad on the microphone is mainly going to be used if you are recording extremely loud sound sources like drums, because that will actually increase the max sound pressure level that a microphone can handle. If you are miking up a drum and you are clipping the actual microphone exceeding the max SPL, that -10, -20 dB pad can increase the SPL that the microphone can handle, and then you're going to get a cleaner recording. Most of us are doing spoken word. We will likely never have to really deal with pads on a microphone because I think the loudest scream was 125, 127 dB, maybe 130 dB. We don't have to worry about that with our voice. Many of us speak around 90 dB, 70, 80, 90 dB. We don't have to worry about the pad on the microphone. Also, another thing to consider is if you are engaging the pad on the microphone, you're decreasing the sensitivity of it. If nothing else changes, if you don't get louder, if you don't get closer to the microphone and you're speaking, you're going to end up increasing the preamp gain. And that will also, in turn, increase the preamp noise that is being recorded. So in my opinion, you would only really want to use the pad on a microphone when you're miking up extremely loud sound sources where you wouldn't really need much gain on the preamp anyways. Secondly, you have interface gain, and you would adjust here to avoid clipping the preamp. But this is where I adjust my level all the time. I don't ever really dynamically adjust the gain on the interface while I'm recording. I set my levels. That's the level I'm recording at. Makes it a lot easier to process in post. I don't have to make adjustments to my compressor halfway through a recording. I set the level. I make sure I'm recording at a good level, then record the entire thing. And lastly, you ask about post. This is where you have the finest control over the level of background noise. Of course, while you're speaking, you're not going to be able to do much to reduce the background noise unless you have one of those really fancy background noise removals where you train the plugin to learn the noise profile and then you're able to decrease it. But then if you get too aggressive, you start to sound underwater, can start to sound really goofy. But with this, I like being able to decrease a loud sound source for half a second, as opposed to manually turning down a knob and then turning it back up and hoping I'm getting at the same level again. This is where I do a lot of fine tuning in terms of levels. again, I don't do much in terms of my spoken word level for my podcast. I don't do anything there really. What I will do is adjust the levels between my voice and the voice submissions to make sure they're fairly level. I'll level them to LUFS, but I'll also make adjustments with a fader in Final Cut Pro as well. I hope that gave you some idea. I hope that helped you at all. And let me use this as a moment to remind everyone, you should be trying to get the best audio that you possibly can before you even hit record. If you have a loud background noise that you're able to stop, stop it. If you have a fan going, shut off the fan. If you have an air conditioner going, shut off the air conditioner. If you have a dog barking, shut off the dog. Don't shut off the dog. That was a bad example. You get the point though. Shut off the items in your room that are creating background noise that you're able to shut off. If you're clipping, set your level appropriately. Stop clipping. Turn down the gain. Simple as that. Simple as that. Thank you very much for the kind words, Dave, and the great question. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I would like to shut that dog off right now. Gosh, darn it, that dog is so annoying. Next, we have an email from Mahmoud. He says, "Hi there, I've just watched a lot of your videos on YouTube, but I didn't know the right choice. For a $100 budget that is yet to collect, which is better, Rode NT USB Mini or Rode NTG? The purpose is I wanted to start a YouTube channel filmed by my phone, and after quite a while, I'll start a podcast. So I was wondering for your own info. I've just got the Rode Video Micro as a gift from a friend, but I have concerns about its quality, so I wanted to ask which is better among the three. Another point, if the NT USB Mini is best, I'll try to get it to the podcast only if that's right. If the NTG is better, I'll try to get it for both matters. If the Video Micro is good, so I'll keep using it for my videos, get another mic for my podcast because, as you know, the voice quality is the most important thing. And if you have other opinions, I'd love to hear it. I hope so much you answer me in a short time, and I'll be appreciated. Thanks in advance, Mahmoud. I apologize. Answer you in a short time, 5 months it may be, 5.5 months it may be. I did not do any research to this before. I did not do any tests. I apologize, Mahmoud. I would say Rode NT USB Mini. The reason I'm saying that is the Rode NTG, at least the NTG USB is $250. You didn't clarify the Video Mic NTG. Oh, what is this? Yeah, the Video Mic NTG, that's $250. That's way above your $100 price point. That eliminates the NTG. It eliminates the NTG completely. Then you have the Video Micro. I'm really not keen on that microphone too much. It doesn't do a great job. You could absolutely use it for filming on your phone. It'll be sufficient there. For your podcast, because the NTG is $250 as opposed to the $100 budget that you have, I would say the NT USB Mini is the best of those three options. If you're looking for other options for a podcast, look at the Samson Q2U, the Audio-Technica ATR 2100 USB, ATR 2100X USB, and those USB XLR dynamic mics. Those are good options as well. I hope that helped you in the slightest bit. Thank you very much for the email. Let's go to the third voice submission from Angshuman. I think I got that right. Good job, me. All right, Angshuman, take it away, good sir.
Hi, Bandrew. Greetings from India. My name is Angshuman, and I'd like to start by saying I'm a big fan of both your channels. I've learned a lot from you about not just sound and equipment, but also approaching YouTube presentation, attitudes towards one's content, communicating with your audience, and much, much more. So thank you so much for your passion, your honesty, and your generosity with your expertise. I have a tiny YouTube channel on which I talk about comics, mainly sitting at a table in the same space every video. And while my viewers are happy with my audio, I really want to keep improving every facet I can, and the more I learn about sound, the more fun it is. I used to use a lav mic, which I liked at first because I thought it made my voice sound deep and bassy, but the more I listen to different tests and samples on your channel, the more claustrophobic and closed off it started sounding to me. So I have an old Rode video mic that I used to mount on the camera, not the Go or the Pro, the one in the middle, the one that uses the 9-volt battery, which I now boom above me in my videos. I know that using a dynamic mic would offer better background noise rejection, but due to the nature of my videos, I don't really want a mic in the shot. It's a little constricting. So right now I have this Rode video mic which uses a 3.5mm jack, and instead of recording into the camera like I used to, I record into my laptop using Audacity through a first gen Scarlett 2i2 that a cousin has loaned me and an XLR converter. I'm sending you this sound file that replicates exactly what I do for YouTube, including some tips for parametric EQ and multiband compressor, and then I output it for YouTube as H.264. My question to you is, what else do you think I should be doing to improve my sound? Do I need a better mic? Should I stop using these audio tools in Premiere? Or do I need to learn to use them better? Is the space that I'm in dire need of treatment? Should I be outputting in a different format? I'd love it if you could somehow, based only on how this sounds to you, give me a list of priorities I should focus on as the most significant steps in improving my audio. Sorry for how long this has ended up being, and feel free to chop off any or all of it as you see fit. Thank you so much once again.
Angshuman, thank you very much for the voice submission. If anybody is interested in his content, for the love of comics, I will link it in the description and show notes. And thank you for the question. I apologize for it taking me so long to get to it again, 5 months. I checked out some of your more recent videos, and I think you're sounding pretty darn good. As you mentioned, your audience is perfectly fine with your audio, and that means you're well on your way to being there if you're not already there. As long as your audience isn't complaining, I would say you're golden. You're good to go. That means the content and the quality of the production is there. So focus on making content. I know. We are not people who are going to rest on our laurels and say that's good enough. I get it. So I am going to be hypercritical here. Listening to the last 2 or 3 of your videos, it does sound like there's a little bit of boominess, a little bit muddy down below. So I would suggest pulling out a little bit. I'm guessing somewhere between 100 and 250 hertz. Pull down a little bit of that. I don't know if you're doing a high pass filter. I would do a high pass between 50 and 75 hertz, depending on where your voice sits, because once you get above 75 hertz, it can start to thin out your voice quite a bit. Also, the lav mic that you're using sounds a little bit dull. I would try adding a 1 to 2 dB high shelf on the mic to open it up a little bit, make it sound a little bit more airy, a little bit more open, a little bit more natural, as opposed to muffled sounding, which lav mics can tend to do. And if you're able to, I did also notice there's still a bit of room there. And if you're trying to get a completely dead sound, yeah, you would need to get some treatment. But I think I've mentioned this in the past. Context allows for a little bit of leeway. If you watch news shows and they are doing on-the-street interviewing and you're watching them on the street, that's perfectly fine. You understand the context. In your videos, we see that you're in a relatively large room, and because of that, we are anticipating a little bit of room tone, a little bit of reverb going on in the room. So I think it's perfectly sufficient as is, but if you want a dead room, yeah, you could get a little bit more room treatment and throw it on the walls behind or towards the area that you're speaking on and all that stuff to keep the voice from bouncing around. All right. I hope that provided you some information, some ideas of how to adjust the processing. Don't make any drastic changes. Just have fun with it. Make a minor change here, see if you like it better, see if your audience comments on it, and then go from there, make minor adjustments. And lastly, we have a voice submission from the absolute mad lad legend, Rev Jesse. Take it away, Jesse, my boy.
Hey, Bandrew, it's Rev Jess from Fat Lulz Radio. How's it going, man? It's been a minute since I did a little voice submission. I've been taking a look at these episodes you've been doing, and, frankly, I agree with you, man. The whole idea of, the news is just depressing because it's either virus stuff or it's, political stuff. I completely understand why you don't want to talk about that stuff, and I've been digging these other episodes where, you're talking about why you love the SM7B so much because, we haven't heard that enough. But, frankly, I think there's something that we need to talk about, and frankly, there's just not enough real things going on. And, I thought I would get through to you with my first voice submission way back in the day, but apparently I didn't. So it's time to talk about something real. It's time to get real into the nitty-gritty. Okay, because let's be real, nothing matters anymore because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and frankly, we're all going to die soon. So before we do that, it only makes sense that we take the time and discuss something that is affecting us on a day-to-day basis. And frankly, the fact that we haven't talked about it already is just pretty ridiculous. But I want you to take that time, take a listen to my question here, and really dissect it. In fact, I want there to be 3 hours of dissection between me saying the question and you answering it on the podcast. So my question is, all right, now are you ready? Are you ready? Because seriously, this is important. My question is, what are your thoughts on the Men in Black? Because here's what I'm thinking, right? You have to give up everything, and you sent me the Men in Black song that you did, and oh my God, it's fantastic. I listen to it all the time, and you were talking about it in the lyrics where you have to essentially have no connection with anything else, and mentally that has to mess with you. It has to really get down into your cerebellum and just explode it like a small little mini nano bomb, like Amanda Waller puts in the necks of the Suicide Squad. So here's what I'm thinking. What if the Men in Black are actually just androids, artificial intelligence, so they don't have to worry about that? They don't have to worry about disappearing them like, Will Smith in Men in Black 1, where they just completely get rid of his identity. They won't have to worry about that. In fact, all they would have to do is just upgrade the software and boom, there you go. It's a brand new person that never actually existed. No need for a social security card. No need for anything, birth certificate to be wiped, anything like that. So I'm telling you, man, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the government has androids that look like humans. I'm talking like replicants in Blade Runner. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking like, I've seen Tears and Rain. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. I think that the Men in Black themselves are not aliens like some people think they are, but actually artificial intelligence, androids, replicants, if you will. And, let's be real here. What we're talking about on this episode is great and all, but it's really not the truth that needs to be spoken. So what do you think? Do you think that the Men in Black are real human beings, or do you think that they're androids, artificial intelligence, replicants, right? Because let's be honest, man, it seems logical. What do you think?
Jesse, thank you very much for the voice submission. You are an absolute maniac, and I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for not failing me. Thank you for living up to my expectation of how you choose to be. It's the exact opposite of I hate all that you choose to be. I love all that you choose to be, Jesse. Absolute legend. Another thing, I love hearing these 4 to 5 month old audio clips because it is such a different mood. The mood in this from Jesse is insane. We're all gonna die. It's a very cool time capsule. It's only 6 months ago, less than 6 months ago, yet it feels like a lifetime ago, where we were all locked down. It was a second lockdown. The world was ending. I get it. Really cool to see that. Now let's talk about my thoughts on Men in Black. I like your theory about androids. I love the idea. However, I don't think we have the technology. I just don't think that's a possibility. I do have a book by Nick Redfern on Men in Black. I have yet to listen to it yet. It is an Audible book, and I should listen to it before Audible bans it. But I have not listened to it yet. I will be listening to that. I don't think they are androids. I don't think they are aliens. Both of those are a lot more fun than what I'm going to come up with. I think they're just regular-ass people. I think they're regular people who get drafted into this super secret organization trying to limit the spread of information that is found to be damaging to the zeitgeist. I think that's what it comes down to. It is just a psyop. Would that even be the proper word? I don't know. It's controlling the narrative, in my opinion. It's just a branch of the intelligence community, in my opinion. As far as the having no connections thing, I think that is extremely interesting. I think that they likely find people who are more antisocial. By the way, Men in Black, feel free to give me a ring. I'm happy to do it. I'm okay with that. I would miss talking to people, but hey, I guess I couldn't even. Never mind. I don't want in. I don't want in. Keep my name off your list, Men in Black. I think there's probably a lot of the Men in Black who bone each other because of this. In this day and age, there's probably plenty of men and women in black, and I'm sure there's relations going on there because those are the only people that they can have relations with. Although they could maybe they find asexual people. Maybe they find people who do not have a sex drive. That would solve that issue. Maybe they chemically castrate people. I don't know. I've never encountered a Men in Black. I don't know what they are like. I have seen the portrayal of them by Jesse Ventura in Jose Chung's From Outer Space. I've seen that, and it's absolutely insane, and I love it. I don't know. I'm going to have to listen to Nick Redfern's book because I want to learn more about the lore behind them. I don't think it's aliens. I don't think it's androids. I think both of those are much more interesting. I think what it comes down to is people just controlling information, controlling the narrative, controlling people's minds, manipulating them, disinformation campaigns, the like, as opposed to actual mind wiping and controlling aliens. I hope it's that. It's so much more interesting. All right. I think that's going to wrap up. Jesse, thank you very much for that question. Thank you to everybody who sent in questions, left comments. You're amazing. I love you. You are an incredible person. The world is your oyster. I don't know why anybody would want that because oysters seem disgusting to me. I don't think I've even had an oyster. Why the hell would you want to eat a snot in a shell? Disgusting. The world is at your will, at your whim. You can do anything you want. You can be anybody you want to be. Because that... I'm just... let's just wrap up. Okay, I'll talk to y'all next week. I hope we have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, we'll talk to you. Love you. Bye-bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.